Undocumented workers, illegal aliens, reportedly are employed at President Trump's New Jersey golf course. That's according to the New York Times. It quotes one of the workers as saying she has been a housekeeper at the Trump National Golf Club in Bedminster, New Jersey for more than 5 years. She alleges there are other illegal immigrants working there as well. The Trump Organization has just responded minutes ago saying, quote, "We have tens of thousands of employees across our properties and have very strict hiring practices. If any employees submitted false documentation in an attempt to circumvent the law, they will be terminated immediately." One of the Democrats expected to launch a serious campaign for the party's presidential nomination in 2020 is facing new questions tonight. Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts is said to be having a hard time with reaction to her latest effort at fighting back criticism of her claims about Native American ancestry. Correspondent Peter Doocy makes sense of all of that and her prospects tonight.
This is Elizabeth Warren.
Senator Elizabeth Warren made a big splash when she revealed she had a sliver of Native American in her family tree.
What do the facts say?
The facts suggest that you absolutely have a Native American ancestor in your pedigree.
But that pedigree only includes between 1/64th and 1/1024th Native American. And now, the New York Times reports that, quote, advisors close to Ms. Warren say she has privately expressed concern that she may have damaged her relationships to Native American groups and her own standing with activists, particularly those who are racial minorities. Warren insisted today she has no regrets.
I have put it all out in public. I put out 10 years of tax returns, my hiring records, and DNA tests all out there on the internet for anybody to see.
But progressives aren't the only ones crying foul. The Cherokee Nation condemned the possible presidential candidate in October, explaining, quote, using a DNA test to lay claim to any connection to the Cherokee Nation or any tribal nation, even vaguely, is inappropriate and wrong. And President Trump piled on.
I used to go around saying, I have more Indian blood than you do, and I have none. And I was right.
Warren has been hiring staff and making speeches and taking meetings, including with Barack Obama, that seem to be positioning her for a presidential campaign.
The world changed in 2016. It changed again in 2018. I believe it's going to change again in 2020.
And 2020 is still on the table despite this possible setback.
It's important to be transparent. I think that's how public officials should be. We've had a lot of good, thoughtful conversations about it, and that's how we learn.
Warren's hometown paper is selling its stock in a 2020 run. The Boston Globe just posted an editorial describing Warren as a divisive figure, and that's a problem for the Globe, which thinks that only a unifying figure can match up with and beat President Trump. Brett?
Peter Doocy live on the Hill. Peter, thanks. The North Carolina Republican Party says it would be open to a new congressional election if an investigation were to find a high likelihood that wrongdoing swayed that race. The state elections board is trying to determine if absentee ballot irregularities could have changed the outcome of the 9th District congressional contest. Unofficial ballot totals have Republican Mark Harris leading Democrat Dan McCready by 905 votes. But the state elections board refused to certify the results last week because of questions involving mail-in ballots. Just moments ago, McCready withdrew his concession. A political power struggle tonight in Wisconsin as Republican lawmakers try to ease the sting of losing the governor's seat there by restricting power of the incoming Democratic chief executive. Senior correspondent Mike Tobin looks at how they're trying to do that and if it will work.
Liberal protesters were back in Wisconsin's state capitol, furious that the Republican majority used the lame duck session to pass laws diminishing the power of incoming governor-elect Democrat Tony Evers, who narrowly ousted conservative hero Scott Walker.
As soon as the election was over, and they decided they didn't like who was coming into office, and so they wrote some bills to restrict his power.
A month after Wisconsin Republicans lost all statewide races, they maintain a majority in both houses. So they passed bills giving the legislature control over an economic development agency, and many bills limiting the governor's power, including the ability to issue regulations. The incoming Democrat says his first move is to appeal to Walker.
We're looking forward to making sure that people of Wisconsin connect with the governor, the present governor, and encourage him to veto this bill.
Wisconsin Republicans also targeted the Attorney General with legislation removing his ability to withdraw from lawsuits, which means the incoming Democrat cannot back out of a challenge to Obamacare, a key issue in the campaign.
The legislature is trying to put its judgment in place of the judgment of the voters of Wisconsin.
Republican lawmakers say the flurry of bills simply guarantees that both the legislative and executive branches will have an equal seat at the table.
I do not believe that a single stroke of the pen by a governor of either party should be able to undo the work of the legislature in negotiation with the executive branch.
In Michigan, demonstrators have been out in force after the Republican-controlled legislature used the lame duck session to pass bills slowing a minimum wage increase and weakening an initiative for paid sick leave. The state Senate passed a bill stripping the incoming Secretary of State's oversight of campaign finance laws. Michigan's outgoing Republican Governor Rick Snyder is waiting to review the bills. In Wisconsin, Governor Walker also will not say if he will sign. Governor-elect Evers says if Walker refuses to veto, the courts are an option. Brett.
Mike Tobin in our Midwest Bureau. Mike, thanks. A possible new Attorney General nominee, plus how the arrest of a Chinese tech executive, concerns about U.S.-China trade, and continued problems in the tech world are driving down the markets. We'll talk about all of that with the panel when we come back.
Mitsubishi.